We're going to begin the Sangerville Board of Selectmen meeting, Wednesday, September 13th. It is 5:04. All members of the board are present, along with the town manager. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 2, approval of the minutes of August 9, 2017.
Motion approved as written.
Second, August 23rd.
23rd.
Oh, change the date?
Sorry.
Oh.
3.
On
Approval
here?
of minutes of August 23, 2017.
Isn't that what that one says?
No, the second. Approve the minutes of August 23rd, as written.
So Dale, you first, you made
Yeah.
the motion.
Oh,
Jody
a second.
All in favor? Item 3, review the treasurer's warrants, payrolls, number 140 and 143, accounts payable, 141, 142, 144, 145, and 146.
Make a motion to approve all.
Second.
In favor? Unanimous. Open session, if anybody would like to speak. Also, I would ask anybody that is here, if you haven't signed in, please sign in.
Is there a pen over here?
There should be one right on
On
that
top of the
notepad.
microwave.
Oh. Yep.
Please just introduce yourself and go ahead, and you have the floor.
Thank you. Phil Martin from Martin Cleaning Service. We talked last month about a contract, and would like to know. I know you, Mike, were very surprised that hadn't happened yet, and was wondering what's happening to take place of that.
I'm basically just wondering if it's gonna be put out to contract or not. At least that's what he was told, so we're just here curious on what's going on.
Okay. We have another topic. This is going to kind of be addressed more thoroughly in that. This is really your opportunity to. It's fine that you asked this question, but I think we'll address this for you in a few minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yep. That's
didn't
fine.
say on that. So.
Is there anything else?
No.
Selectmen concerns?
No. Real quick, I'll just throw it here. I actually just remembered it. I had a resident call me on Dowdy Hill Road. They were inquiring how we got the signs up on Silver's Mills for the horses, or the warning symbol. And I explained to them that last year I went in and talked to Ken and offered, to pay for the signs, or our neighborhood of horse people would pay for the signs to get them put up. And Ken said no, that, the horses in the area, that's enough local business. You're not paying for them, the town's definitely gonna put those up. So that's how they got up onto my road. It was Sandy Peters, who has the big farm up there. She was the one that was asking about, because right there between those two hills, cars fly pretty good. And I told her I asked her to actually call you, because I told her I thought it would come out a little better if she had asked to, and other than just me bringing it up for her. But I wasn't sure how that worked, where it's a state.
I think they have to ask the state.
That's what I assumed that as well, but.
Yeah, but I will call Jeremy Schobel. He's the manager of the Guilford campus, and see what he can do.
Just as a note, I went out on the Silver Mills Road and kind of looked at the work. It looks really good so far. And there's something left to do, but colors look good. He rip-wrapped them in. It looks great.
So that's going along.
Seems to be moving along nicely.
And one thing that I have is a resident called me and said that there was a big brush pile in the cemetery, in the back side of the cemetery, that he was very upset by. Now, whether that has now been chipped, I don't know.
Which cemetery?
This one right here.
Village?
Yeah.
I'll check into it.
Oh, I did have one, I forgot about this too, I'm not doing it. I had a complaint about the road work.
On Silver's Mill?
Yeah, evidently, and I haven't gone down and checked it out or anything, but I'm assuming that the landowners allowed or had the contractor dump the fill down off his property off from the Eastler Road.
Yeah.
And evidently part of it is blocking the Eastler Road, so somebody complained about that.
Part of the fill is blocking his road.
Part of it, yeah. And we're talking the down in the woods piece, not the normal travel.
Beyond the bridge.
Yes. Which has technically never been discontinued, but
That's a whole
I
other
mean,
project. But it's dumped on new land?
yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
Right. I could believe that Chris would push it out of the way if somebody asked him.
Yeah.
I'm sure, but
Okay.
my daughter had games this weekend. I've been traveling, so I didn't get down there to.
He lives across the road from my house all day, probably still is right now. Picking rocks. Okay. Anything else? Item 6, committee reports. Rec committee.
You'll see that you have several things here on the rec committee. The first one, Jason emailed, a general update. The grass has been cut 4 times. They don't want to cut the grass anymore for this summer. They would like to have the town cut the grass. We can discuss that. They're working to clean up the perimeter of the field. They're not watering it anymore. The gazebo, the electrical hookup has been done. The builders are on site. They've actually started construction of the gazebo. It's supposed to be 10 days, and I think this was day 4.
The floor looked pretty well done this morning when I come through.
Yeah, it says base is complete and floorboards are done, working on the roof. The grass has been planted in that section. And they have ordered the picnic tables, the 6 picnic tables. They have this event coming up on September 23rd that we are invited to go. It'd probably be a good idea. I plan on going. And then I don't know if you get the Observer.
Yeah, I saw it.
There is an article here about the field. I also sent you a link
Yeah,
to it
yeah,
online.
yeah, that was nice.
And so the other thing that we really kind of need to address for the rec committee is, and you'll see I gave you their budget, the mowing.
Is this a shock to anyone?
I know.
Pretty much. Talk about, okay, so what?
So I called Orman Gray, and he said he would charge $25 an hour to mow that part of the field. And I was talking with Jason today, and they've been cutting it 2 times a week because it's growing really fast. It has a good fertilizer on it. So, and with their equipment, it takes them a couple of hours. Now, I don't know if Orman Gray has faster equipment or slower equipment. You're talking at least a couple of hours. We can have Pete do it through Public Works. He says he can do it in probably an hour. But they have the time. They could probably do that. So what do you want to do? I mean, do you want to ask the contractor to do it? We're looking at probably 2 times a week maximum for approximately, I put 8 weeks, but it's not really 8 weeks. It's probably closer to 6. Because as it's cooling, it's not going to grow as much. And they have just seeded that section, so it may not even grow, the lower section.
And did the contractor give an estimation with how much time it would take him?
He did not. That's why I was saying, Jason said it takes the volunteers about 2 hours to cut it.
What do they use, a tractor with a deck under it?
I think they're using a big 0 turn.
Oh, And it takes that
It
long?
would not take me 2 hours. to
Me
do it.
neither.
Mine's a 54-inch.
They told me originally that when they were gonna be mowing that, it was gonna be with a zero turn with a bagger. I haven't seen them mowing the field, so I don't know if that is, I know what they told me, but I don't know if that's what they're using.
I know they did bag it and raked it, but they're not gonna bag it and rake it anymore.
But Jimmy Jimmy had told me that he thought he had enough money in his
Well,
to pay for this.
That's it. I mean, if you look up here on the budget, under the rec fielding committee, there's remaining on the far right side, $1,250 in that account, and in the next one says rec field equipment. He's got $1,346 left in that account. So I mean, he could pay somebody, not that they really want to, but
Well, my concern or question is, what does he need for rec field equipment?
I don't think that they need any more rec field equipment. They've got to buy some soccer balls, I think, for soccer season. They already have the goals.
Does our recreation department doesn't have a soccer team?
They're doing soccer.
No, Pirate Rec is doing soccer. Our recreation department does not have a soccer team.
I know they're
I
doing
know.
soccer on both fields.
I know, but it's Pirate Rec, it's not our rec.
Right,
It's
but
up to
back to the
sixth grade.
grass. Jimmy had told me that he had money to pay for this. So,
We did bring this up in the meeting.
Oh, yeah.
did.
Oh, yeah.
You're gonna have
Oh,
to
yeah.
vote.
several times, like, have you guys thought about the grass? And he said, no problem. Okay, essentially, I'm paraphrasing, but,
Right.
and if, as long as that's true, I think that's the answer to the, let the gentleman cut the grass and it comes out of Jimmy's budget.
I know when I talked to the contractor before, he informed me that the $25 an hour was for 2 people.
Okay.
Now, whether or not that's changed, because I stopped in I come through on a Sunday morning and he was down there mowing the field, the regular field.
Right.
And I asked him, it's like, you kind of noticed, we got grass growing, right? He goes, yeah, and then that's when he told me, he said, yeah, I figured 2 people, $25 an hour.
And that's who?
That's
Oh my
Foreman, our
Foreman.
contract.
So when that 25, that's Orman.
It's 2 people.
It's
Yes.
2 people, and it's not gonna take him 2 hours. Unless you use a bush mower. But even if it does take him 2 hours, it's $50.
Right,
And that's,
right.
and you
Foreman
maybe got
has-
6 mowings.
Orman has the same size mower that the town has. So
It's 54 inch.
if you're gonna get 2 people for $25, if we have Orman do it, that's cheaper than what we can do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if he's gonna only give us 1 person for 25, then maybe we should just do it. But there again, you know what you need your public works doing, and if that's something you want them to do, then go ahead. So,
My thought is it should be coming out of the rec department's budget.
me too.
That's where it belongs. And if you're roughly talking probably $300, maybe 4 on the top side. So,
But this is all what we talked about.
yeah,
Right.
there may be some tough choices that
That's
have to
right,
be made,
that's
but I mean, that seems, now if they can't do it, they can't do it, we'll have to figure out something else, but, I mean, I might volunteer and mow it a couple times myself, if that's what we have to do. But,
Start there with the contractor.
I would see what they say, and of course, make sure Jimmy knows that's what we're thought, because we did ask him, and he said he was okay. So,
Well, I have a note here at the bottom that says call Jimmy with a decision, so I guess it's your decision.
Now it says, can they use a town mower? You mean
They had asked if they had volunteer do it, could they use the town mower instead of their own
Oh.
personal mowers?
Oh, jeez.
that's the other thing about when we do that, the way we get the town mower to that field is they drive it.
Right.
seriously?
Yeah.
I was going to ask that question.
Yeah, we don't,
Yeah.
it won't go on a trailer. It's too big. The trailer's too big. It's a regular equipment trailer.
Oh, we don't have a
equipment
small
ramp.
utility trailer.
Oh.
No.
No, so they're driving that.
And we're paying them to drive.
It just seems like this is definitely a rec department budget issue. As long as they've got the money, let's let them handle it. They knew all this going in, so I'm sure they can.
So with the rec
Make it work.
department budget, with the contractor.
Yep.
Yep.
Or, yeah,
Whatever they decide.
yeah. 'Cause it's
Now,
certainly gonna
I'm not, but there again, I'm not opposed to Jimmy, if we're not using the town mower and he wants to mow, I'm not opposed to that either. But that's free. But I don't see where our guys can mow for that, is my statement, so.
Well, and the other thing is they can't mow until after hours. And we don't want to leave the town mower just down there on the field.
Correct.
That would be my concern.
Then you got another concern about driving the mower back to the town garage darkish or duskish,
Right.
which probably is a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, ideally, your mower's gonna come during the day when the grass is dry. And
Right.
he's gonna mow it, and that's, I mean, if they can't come up with the $400, I'll be surprised. Okay, so does this require a motion?
No, I don't think so. We'll just,
Having said all this, though, if they end up jammed up and you feel like your guys aren't,
Well, and in light of the
That's
fact
your
that
call.
we've got this going on the 23rd, you know what I mean?
yeah, no, we want to
Right.
look right.
Right,
but-
right.
Yeah,
I
because this
mean,
is
we
probably
don't-
gonna take something out of this budget.
Yeah, I would imagine.
according to Jason, he said everything has been donated for that.
But, I mean,
Oh, he also asked if you guys wanted to take a turn flipping burgers.
I'm not against that.
sure.
I'm a hot dog guy, but seriously, if we got jammed up, I'd go mow the thing,
Okay.
all right?
And you can bring your mower, or
Yeah, I
you-
have a trailer that my mower fits in, and unless there's a reason that I can't use my 6-foot flail, I'll do that, which won't take me any time at all.
no.
Don't do that? Yeah. I haven't looked at the ground. Okay. While we're on rec, though, I noticed that we had some emails regarding access to the gazebo.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, yes. The
Is this-
fire marshal didn't get back to me. So the first email that I sent you was, Jason came to me and he said they did not allot funds to make it handicap accessible. When they designed the gazebo, they figured that that would come after the fact.
Well, I remember the opposite.
Right, I asked him, I
It was
asked
gonna
that
be very
question.
low and the
Yes.
rain.
I said-
Handicap accessible.
That's
remember
right.
that? Yes, so
Yes.
we all misheard.
No, originally I think the plan was for the gazebo to be a lot lower, but now that they're building it, it's on concrete pad and it's got this floor joist and then it's got this
Sure,
floor joist
sure.
and now it's almost 2 feet in the air.
It is up, it's high.
It's two, yes,
Whoa.
20, 23 or 4 inches
It's
in
up
the
there.
air. Yeah.
Whoa.
It looks like they have like probably, I'm guessing, but it looks like there must be a 2x12 or whatever underneath it and then the floor, so
Yeah.
it's up there.
It
So in
is.
order to build it the way he had originally envisioned, it would have been almost like pouring a foundation.
Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, they should have
Yeah.
sunk the rocks deeper and,
A frost wall type thing.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
A
So-
pat.
So,
So, but really the way I read the email, they can't open this building for any use until it is, correct?
well, I'm going to argue that point because if you read the paragraph, it says, I believe that it is, needs to be ADA compliant. Then she says, if so, then
Right.
you. So that opened my mind to, well, she doesn't really know if it has to be ADA compliant or not. And then in the next paragraph, she stated something about the state fire marshal's office has to do approval of public buildings, which I just called last week on that building. So I called them back, but I didn't get an answer from the guy to find out if indeed, because if you look at other towns around, they don't all have ramps on their
Right, but I'm
gazebos.
sure it's when you build it.
That was the other issue.
That could be.
And I know if it exceeds 50,000, you have to have an engineer. So her references to the engineer is irrelevant
Right,
because
okay.
it's not exceeding 50,000. That much I do know. So the thought is if they have to do a ramp, they're going to put it on the back side because the back side comes up higher, the ground comes up higher than the front side, and they think they can get it to 15 or 16 inch ground level on the back side, and then they would only have a 15 or 16 foot ramp instead of a 24 foot ramp because it's 1 foot for every inch of elevation.
Wow.
So,
And you're going to have some sort of a path.
Getting around to the backside.
Yeah.
well, they had never had designed it with even having a path to the front side, so,
So there may be a requirement for a path. It
right.
would seem to me that there would be.
Yeah.
If they could make us put on a ramp, you don't think they could make some path to get the ramp?
Right. So they're, the section where they're thinking about putting it is an 8-foot section. And, I mean, the contractor is already thinking of ways to do it
Okay.
on the backside, but we just have to wait. I'll call the
But
state
there could
fire
be a
marshal.
budgetary issue here.
That's true.
Well, if it depends on the cost of it, that's right.
Well, and that's the other thing too, is they clearly had to stay under that 10.
Yes,
So this could put them into a pickle.
very much so. And they've got money there, but not much.
What line is that?
It's the bottom right, 3,200 is what they have unexpended in their
You
total
pull
budget.
400 out of there. 2,800.
Plus they gotta buy soccer balls.
And hot dogs.
Okay.
It's that time of year where you get into that, starting near that final quarter and you really don't know. Okay. Anything else on the rec department?
No, I think we got it.
Road
No, we
commissioner?
just all need to remember, there's been one particular resident that is there every single day working on that field. Mr. Lemio.
Yeah.
Every day.
Wow.
Multiple times a day, he's there.
Thousands of dollars.
Thousands.
I mean,
Yeah.
all of that water, he was there. He's the one that dragged the hoses around. The
Good.
sprinklers pretty well stayed where they were, but he would get down and get the pump running and basically just running out of gas. But he would come back at night to make sure it did come down. You know, I mean, he's got
Wow.
unreal time in that.
Yeah.
Should be the Lemmy Field, maybe. Okay. Road commissioner?
You guys have already kind of covered it with the Silvers Mills Road project is moving forward. He's working on the 800-foot section.
Yeah, notice some gravel in there.
Mm-hmm.
Did you break the pavement up?
Mm-hmm.
Any word on paving?
Not until the guy's done.
No, but I didn't fight. They haven't.
I haven't called them, they haven't called me.
Okay.
They haven't called and said, I'm ready.
That's good.
So
And does,
I'm not poking the dragon.
No,
Yeah, no, it's perfect.
That's where I was going. That's what I was hoping he was going to say. Is they called.
Yeah, we're not ready.
Yeah, no.
So he's gonna finish the raising of the road and then head up to, and do the shoulder work
On
on
French's,
French's Mills.
yeah.
So is he going to be done this week?
I'm not sure if he'll be done this week on that.
He wasn't, they weren't working at, well, I guess it was 4:30.
Yeah, I think they have it posted road closed for, what, 8 to 4? Or is it 8 to 3? Maybe 8 to 3.
There was no posting in now there at all.
Oh, they didn't post it now?
Nothing.
So they just close it, no flaggers.
Well, I'm wondering if he's beyond the closing phase,
I see.
because it looks like there's a lot of gravel there.
I haven't been down by.
It didn't look to me like it had been compacted, but, although maybe it's really dry.
He's doing it as he's coming up. He's every 6 inches, right? If I remember right, is what he's
Yeah.
doing.
I didn't go onto it, I turned around at Blaine's place,
Mhm.
and the excavator was there. With the ditching bucket, which I know he hates to use.
Said he didn't, yeah.
It's been there the whole time.
Yeah.
The ditching bucket?
I've never seen it on the equipment, but it's there. It's sitting on the ground.
Oh.
To an untrained eye, the ditching looks great. So,
And they've seeded it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rick and Pete did the seeding.
good.
I noticed I know the culverts were all riprap. That looked really good.
Yep.
Yeah.
And all the ones that I could see were all metal.
They are, except for the low one in the 800-foot section.
That's what I figured, because
the
it's so
only
deep,
plastic.
you probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it looks good. Now, the old culverts are all laying on the side. Are they offering those to landowners, or are we taking them? How's that work, do you know?
If they're reusable, we're supposed to be taking them
Okay.
back.
Some of them look pretty ratty, but.
Yeah, I've seen some other.
And what was the verdict on the one culvert that he said needed to be replaced?
Which one, the French's Mills?
Yeah.
The one on the end of the road, we
Yeah.
did it.
Okay.
We did it.
Okay.
And then we
There's
did the
one that-
one more up.
Yeah, the one that was on top of the road.
Yeah, we did that one.
That's really sticking out into the field. I don't know which Newt owns that field, but he may not be, that's really sticking out there a long ways.
Is it?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Now, I don't know if we can blop it off or how that works. I don't know. But it's really protruding out into the field.
Is it up off the ground into the field?
I couldn't tell that.
Okay. I'll take a peek.
Uncle Willie's.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's-
Uncle Willie's side.
I looked out of the truck and I said, wow, that's sticking. to the
Quite a
ground."
tongue
So it was
sticking
off
out.
the ground and just kind of shooting.
Okay.
Huh.
Because that slope goes like that.
Yeah, that's the side if the water would come out of, but
Right.
if you're mowing that
Must,
field.
probably there was one that he had used it like 2 lengths or
Probably,
extra length, stuck it out.
that's the one that was, literally, it was on top of the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
did get it covered, but
I'm sure if it's an issue, we will hear about it.
yeah, yeah. Public Works report.
You have it. They've cut and chipped brush on the side of the road on Silver's Mills, French's Mills, Flanders Hill, and all the cemeteries. I would like to rent a mini excavator to go back and remove the stumps and shrubs so the mower contractor will be able to mow the area. If not, it will have to be cut every year with the brush saw. And then Peter and I talked about doing the one on the end of the French's Mills Road and the one, the first one, if you're coming down Silver's Mills from Route 23, we talked about that one.
Okay.
And then the mouth of the Knowlton Mills Road onto the Dowdy Hill Road, there is a drop between the pavement and the gravel.
The washout.
It's not, it's when big trucks or school buses, when they pull from dirt road onto paved road, their tires spin and it digs out. That's what that's from.
Ah.
And it has been admitted that there are some big trucks that come up that road.
The brush pile that Jody was talking about, has that been chipped?
Well, that's what I'm going to check.
Oh, okay. Because we took the chipper back.
Yes, when did they complain?
That was when you were away.
So it's probably
That was
been
that
chipped.
same
done.
week.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because they chipped the week I was gone.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah.
I would recommend that if any of us haven't done it yet, to go down through that cemetery.
And check out the washout.
Yes.
I on a side note, I emailed Chris Winstead from PCEDC asking if there are any grants on cemetery, and he says they're far and few between, but he will do a search and get back to me.
No, that's good.
Sounds like we'll need it,
Yeah,
if there is such a thing.
yeah.
Regarding an excavator to pull brush stumps, my gut instinct is that's rather futile. If we can, use herbicide on these as they come back, we'll never have to cut them again, if we're allowed. And it's perfect condition right now. Next year, when that growth comes in and it's 6, 8 inches tall, we hit it once, and we won't have to touch it for years. But we have to know that we can do that. I know the power company does it.
Right.
In fact, they've done it all up and down that road.
Yeah, they have.
So,
My only other concern is if we rent an excavator, we have to hire somebody to move it for us. We can't move an excavator.
Even the mini, it's a mini one.
Doesn't matter, we don't have a trailer.
we don't have a trailer we can drive.
Right.
And I guess I'm not really sold on the strategy itself, the idea of trying to control brush with an excavator, a mini excavator. I think we can address that next spring.
I would like to see us use the money to rent the excavator to cut more brush and then use the herbicide idea.
Yeah, be done with it.
Yeah.
Well, if you are mowing it, roadside mowing it, won't that keep it down?
It will.
Yep.
If he's cut it off, that mower's this high off the ground. When we've cut brush, I'm hoping we're not leaving
Right.
this. So,
But either way, a flail or a bush hog will keep that brush down.
Well, that's what I thought.
And if you get some new growth and you hit it with herbicide, it will never come back. Not in that spot.
When do you do that, in the spring?
Yeah, early, once you got nice, lush green,
Okay,
then it's,
perfect.
yeah. I've been fighting brush for years down back. We cut nearly 5 miles of trail, and I learned the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anything else there on them? Public works? No? New business? Regular board meeting schedule?
So now that we're kind of like through the hump of, we want to catch up, we've caught up, but we need to go back and concentrate on what we're doing, but we can do that in regular schedule. So can we have a regular schedule, and what would you like? I like the first and third Wednesdays personally, it works for me. But it doesn't matter, you tell me, I work for you.
That's fine with me.
It's a total fit for me.
Yep.
And I could be wrong, my gut is telling me we've got a lot in this last quarter. We may end up having more than 2.
Well, you'll have budget meetings, but those will be extra that we can do on the second and fourth.
Yep, no, that's all good.
But regularly scheduled.
Yeah, we can even
agenda
put it on the
stuff.
website, first and third of the month.
Right,
Okay.
exactly,
Yep,
exactly.
5 o'clock, community room.
Right. And we're gonna stick with the 5 p.m.?
I like it.
I like it.
Yep.
Almost, not to be, if we keep going over this 2-hour time limit at 5, I'm almost would like to go earlier because it just keeps getting longer.
Well, I'll move it to 4, but the fact that we've been going to almost 8 and starting at 5 really
I can go back
justifies
to
our 5 o'clock.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, because we'd be getting out of here at 10.
I mean, that's right.
So let's.
I don't mind holding it at 5, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
if our agendas keep doing this and we're stretching this, then I'm not
Well,
afraid.
I'm almost to the point, you know, I agree with you, if we're going to 8:30, maybe what we need is another meeting.
Right.
I would prefer-
You
yeah,
go
I would
into the
prefer
second, and, you know, the first, second, and third Wednesday, if you have to,
Right.
so. Okay, so we'll stick with that.
For now,
and
first
add
and
as
third.
needed.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You want a motion just to CYA?
I make a motion that we have regularly scheduled board meetings for the first and third Wednesdays of each month at 5 o'clock.
Second.
All in favor? A little late now, but if we hit a holiday or something like that, then we'll have to adjust.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you just do those when you
Yep.
have to.
Abatements?
You just had the one, the acreage listed was incorrect. So they corrected the acreage.
Okay.
Motion.
Make a motion to approve that abatement.
Second.
All in favor? Item C, distribution email system.
I received an email from a resident requesting that I have a group email so that when I have an agenda or a special meeting or this or this or this or this, that I email this group because they didn't feel that posting it in the 4 locations and on the website was enough.
Why wasn't the website not enough?
I don't know, maybe, I don't remember what he said.
Who made the request?
Dan Hall, does he have service in that area?
Well, he must have, if he's getting email. I mean, he actually sent him an email, so.
So
I
I'm
would
not
say-
sure what it was about the email, and he said,
I would say
He
Dan
doesn't
can look at the website like everybody else does.
Right.
I would like to promote our website more,
Right.
not
less.
less. I would.
So,
Not only that, I don't want to get you in a position where somebody gets left off the list and you sent it to 3 and
right.
That's not your job.
so
They,
we need to make a good faith effort, and I believe we have.
Right.
To post things in
Right.
a timely fashion,
that's right.
Yeah.
and,
No, this is not a catering service.
Right.
I mean,
Well, and by making the decision for regular board meeting schedule first and
Yeah,
third,
yeah.
putting that on the
There's-
website, that will help.
okay. Public hearing for general assistance.
Every year you have to approve new state guidelines for dollar amounts for general assistance. You have to have a public hearing, and it is that time of year. And you can do it at the same time as you have a regular meeting.
Okay,
as long as we post it.
okay. So,
Um,
can you post it for next Wednesday?
I can.
Yeah, how?
In the past, I think what we do is you do the, like, we're starting the meeting at 5, you have the public hearing start at 4:30? Or 4:45, or?
How?
450.
Yeah.
Oh, it's-
I mean, really, there's, nobody comes, nobody
Correct.
has any questions. I mean, it's,
So we can just make it part of our 5 o'clock? Or do you
No,
want it
has to-
separate?
It has to be.
well, I,
Separate?
Oh, okay,
the public hearing is supposed to be separate.
so we'll make
Okay.
it at 4:45?
Yeah,
Okay.
10 up, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
4:45.
And you want to bring in extra chairs? Because so many people will be here.
Yes. And that is next on the
So,
20th.
serious, and so is there, do we do something? Do we discuss something? We don't?
No,
Well, I mean, you can
it's
read
a,
that.
you can read that. I mean,
Okay.
it's
But we don't have to make any motions.
in
or-
the regular meeting, then
we
it
will.
goes to regular meeting, you have to approve
I see.
these new,
The
I see.
by
procedure.
motion.
I see.
But you can't make that motion in
Without
public hearing.
that. Oh, and
The public
that,
hearing is so if anybody comes, they have questions, answers, concerns,
got it.
to sway you yay, nay, when,
I
during the
see.
meeting, when you can vote on it, what you're gonna do.
I see.
And that's why it needs to be its own standalone
Yeah,
meeting.
right.
Okay? Moving on. Item E, sand salt ratio.
I've been talking to Chris, and I'm hoping he's gonna get the sand salt up by the end of the month. But we never really said, this is what we want. I know when he bid the snow plowing, he said he would like to have the 10-to-1 ratio. But that wasn't like part of the bid, so to speak. So now that we've got somebody that's going to put the sand salt up, we need to approve the ratio. So,
Pretty certain we approved and budgeted the 10-to-1 ratio.
I believe we did. In other words, you have enough sand and salt to get to that ratio.
yes, it
All of
is
the salt
budgeted
that
enough.
needs to be put into the pile. And, yeah,
And Chris still maintains that that's what he would
Yes,
desire to do
Yes.
to fulfill his contract.
yes.
I don't know why we would deviate.
and if
Right.
we need to grade off ice at that ratio, they eat it.
It's
not
his
us.
problem.
Right.
Again, I don't know why we would deviate. And if there's some, if he wants to have another pile for the different ratio, that I would. I
Well,
would
you
follow
always
the-
have a little bit in the salt by itself for hot load, just in
Sure.
case. I mean, that's not a big deal, it's typical.
The theory is the whole pile's gonna be a hot load now. So we shouldn't need hot loads, and we shouldn't need to be putting out as much. Right or wrong, nobody knows. 'cause
Right.
We've never ever had a pile properly mixed, so.
So I just wanted to make sure we had a
I would do the
motion to-
ratio for the amount of salt that we have budgeted.
Yeah, I wouldn't deviate from the budget or the contract.
No.
That was how we arrived at where we're at, it seems to me.
The bad part of this conversation is when we budgeted X amount of money, it was for X amount of tons off from that cost. So hopefully, as long as we still got that same price at holes,
I
then,
actually think it's cheaper.
well, then we should be way golden then. Or you'll have an extra, maybe extra for put in the shed. So,
So a 10-to-1 ratio though is
10-to-1, column slash, budgeted.
budgeted.
I don't want to just go with the 10-to-1
Ratio.
theory to find out that we messed up when we budgeted and didn't buy enough. We're kind of committed to what we're buying.
Second?
A second.
All in favor? So go, 3-0. F, town funds and fund balance policy.
I emailed you this one a while ago. It was, what can you do with the town funds? And I also gave you the bank statement to show you how much is sitting there in the bank.
Do you know what they're paying us on?
I didn't look that page up.
That would be important. But my guess is, it's probably 0.1%.
It's probably 0.02 at the most. 0.02.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's 1.5 million is there. There's a loan, you can see that, and then this other money just kind of, it's money market. So basically,
Municipal
This-
loan, what's What is a municipal loan?
Is that the fire truck?
That's a
Oh,
fire
the
truck.
fire truck.
Oh, okay, so
Oh.
that's a debit,
Yeah.
yeah.
So then, what's the other thing we're looking at now, Lois?
The email that tells you how you can invest.
Oh, okay, yes.
And I had forwarded that.
Yeah. I read that.
Basically, you can't put it in high risk with the chance of losing it.
Right.
But, the decision is ours.
Yes.
That's kind of the
Right.
thing that I was looking for.
Yes.
And so, there are a lot of things that we could do that would be an improvement over what we have now. The question, one of the things that we would want to look at is liquidity. In other words, how long are we willing to tie up this money? If we're comfortable with a 90-day window, you're going to get a lot better return than you are if you won't exceed a 2-week window.
Right.
Okay? This money at Camden is 100% liquid, but we get paid
and it's not
virtually
invested.
zero on it.
Right.
And that's pretty close to what you're going to get if you need 100% liquidity. But one other thing that we should know, a common reaction to looking at this would be say, yes, but you have no risk. That isn't really true.
Correct.
We have risk on everything beyond 250,000. Okay, so if you wanted a like comparison, you could look at, say, the credit rating of Camden National and say, okay, if I were willing to accept that level of default risk, how much return could I get? Okay, and you might be surprised. Now, not with 100% liquidity, but if you said, I'm willing to lock the money up for 90 days, you can get 1%. Well, 1% of $1 million is 10 grand. So you could do, for example, just to keep the numbers simple, you could say, we're going to take 333,000 and we'll commit it for 90 days. We get 30 days into that, we commit another 333,000 for 90 days. 30 days. So then every 30 days you'd have 333,000 coming due, all generating 1%, and all at no greater risk than it's at right now in terms of credit risk. Okay, those are really basic, simple, low risk ways to basically find 10 grand.
Right.
10 grand plus 10 grand.
Yeah.
Well, your annual, that's an annualized rate of return of 1.
Right.
So every year, and you've got to assume, I think it's fair to assume, that rates aren't going much lower. So,
Right.
yeah, this year
10
you
grand.
make 10 grand, next year could be 20. And even with the liquidity provisions, there are ways so that if you access the money, you'd have a known penalty. Okay, and you would know that.
So realistically, I mean, when you look at that 1.5, if we just round to 1.5, the 1, you're not going to really dip into that.
Well, if you, as long as you're comfortable with saying, we're never more than 30 days away from $333,000. And that is kind of, and then the worst case scenario is the 90-day window is something that you'd literally be willing to take, a penalty to get at. You can get it, but in some cases you might lose all of your interest or might even lose 1% of it. So if you were successful at this for a couple of years, you could get a little further out on the maturity because you'd be willing to take a hit if the worst case scenario happened. And you don't have to, you could ladder out further. You could have money coming due in 2 weeks, 6 weeks, out to a full year. There's a lot of different ways to structure it.
The one thing you have to keep in mind is your balance is going to ebb and flow based on tax income. So right now this is high because we just put out taxes. It will come high, a little higher when you get ready to put out foreclosure notices, depending on how many. Usually it's going to be low April, May, because that's when you've paid the school budget for 8 months, and now so.
Can you look back and see where we, about May, June, where we've been?
Well, that's what I was going to say is we should go a whole year and write down what this is every month so that we can see where our dollars are, where they stand. for each of the months so that we know, because ideally, I wouldn't want to touch it once it's invested, if we didn't have to. So,
Yeah, if you could figure out that formula that, you're comfortable at 800,000.
right.
Then it would just roll.
Yeah.
Right, then
Yeah.
you just set
Be
that up.
generating money.
So if
Yeah.
you needed it, you could get to it, but if you don't, you're just gonna keep
Just
letting it
let
go.
it go.
Right,
Then it's actually doing something there as a benefit.
right.
Because
No,
I mean,
and-
right now, it's like our municipal loan. Why in the world would we borrow when we have that much money that we're not gaining anything on? Why would we borrow money so we could pay somebody else interest?
You gotta
Well,
hit me, because one
it's
year,
actually
just a
probably
sixth of
our
that
money.
thing is gone.
Yeah.
I mean,
What
that's,
is it, do we know the rate on that municipal loan?
I don't, but I'm
not even
guessing it's
$60,000. I don't
3
know
to
why
6.
it's not even paid. Why don't we? I mean, that ought to be on the warrant and just pay it off.
Well, we paid a good chunk, because we took the overs from the fire department and put it there, which was smart.
We could do that again and then the balance pay it off.
But we could earn enough money to pay it off in just a few years.
Yeah, because I don't think
That'd
very
be
much goes on this loan every year.
Hmm.
I don't think. I'll have to double check.
See, we don't pay taxes per se, do we? I mean, there's no federal
Town?
tax. Yeah,
No.
town, no, so there's no benefit to paying interest.
No.
You can't depreciate the equipment, because you don't need to depreciate
Right.
the equipment.
They do depreciate it just as a matter of town
But
standards.
It's town assessment value.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But it's not a financial gain to pay interest because you're not writing that off
Right.
anywhere.
Right.
So, and then the interest that we make, you don't pay tax on?
The only reason to borrow this money is because you can't afford to pay it off. And that's not
That's
true in our
right,
case.
that's right. That's right.
There's no reason for this town to, with that kind of money, there's no reason for this town to ever borrow money.
I mean, I agree. Doesn't make any sense at all.
It doesn't make any sense.
Do we have the authority to pay that truck off?
I don't think so.
No, but we have the authority to put it on the warrant article at town meeting.
Correct. Well, that's what, so we ought to find out what we are paying in interest, and that should
That
definitely
would
be
be,
discussed more thoroughly. As far as, but, I'm not, I'm not disparaging Camden National, it wouldn't matter whether it was with Bangor Savings or.
Well, that was my next question.
It
If-
really shouldn't all be
In one spot.
in one spot. That would be, I mean, I have this conversation with my clients all the time. See, I have clients that will move money every time they exceed 250. They move it to me and I buy them treasuries because treasuries are guaranteed by the U.S. government. Not because he's getting rich, because he knows his money's safe.
Right.
So that's another thing that we should address.
And 250 is the
That's the FDIC insurance.
Yeah.
Just simply moving the money over to a brokerage gets you up to 650.
Yeah, yeah,
So there's just little tiny things that we should be looking
yeah,
at.
yeah.
So
Yeah, leaving that amount of money in the bank is not very smart.
Nope. Nope.
So, we should definitely go ahead and do this. I mean, we,
I will, I can't handle this, but I
Right.
can direct it. We together can direct how we want to do this, and I can do research on it.
that'd be
So
great.
I'll give you guys some options. I'll call other institutions outside my own and see what we can put together.
That would be great.
Either certificates or CDs or treasuries or something like that. Anything we do is going to be
Anyway,
like a huge windfall
right.
compared to what
Well, I mean, that's scary, having that much money in there when you, it's not very secure.
banks do go out of business.
It's not better than, it's not much better than under your pillow, really, at that amount.
Once you get over 250, it isn't. Well, I mean, it is. 'Cause
It is, but it
you can't
isn't.
burn.
Correct.
And so, yeah. But, okay.
That's a no.
That's definitely to keep
Yep.
in front of us and keep
Yep.
talking about.
Multi-year contracting, mowing.
Your mowing, you voted to do a 2-year mow bid, and you have to have anything over 1 year approved at town meeting. To
Was that
enter
on
that
it?
contract.
No,
No.
that's DJ's,
Oh, the cemeteries.
yes.
Yes, cemeteries.
That was a motion in the selectmen's meeting
Yep,
to
Okay.
grant award his bid for 2 years.
yep,
Did he write a 2-year bid?
he did.
Did
Oh, he did?
He did. There was a 1 year bid, then.
And then a 2-year bid, and we
and then
chose
you
the
opted for
2-year.
2-year, yeah. It was
No.
a difference of $200 over the 2-year.
Oh.
So it was $9,500
Oh.
the first year, $9,700 the second year.
Either way, it's under the 10, so you don't really have to bid it.
Is what?
It's under the 10. So I mean, technically by policy, you don't even have to put it out for bid.
Okay,
It's true.
so,
But a multi-year contract has to be
Correct.
approved at
Correct.
town meeting.
So
So
what do we have to
basically,
do?
well, yeah, it was an error. We were supposed to put it on the warrant article or town meeting, and
We didn't.
we didn't do that.
Okay.
So I think we could just go back and put it on the next.
I see, when we get to budget
But we've already
season,
approved it.
we'll address it again.
We've got him for 1 year right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
He's paid for 1 year. We didn't pay for 2 years. We only paid for one.
Right.
Yep,
We made, I
A
mean,
commitment.
we made a commitment that we're gonna hire him again.
Right.
So all we have to do is hire him again next year, and this really isn't even a conversation.
yeah, which
Right.
doesn't even require a bid.
No,
And he's already said he'll do it for that price.
correct.
So I think when we get to budget season, it should pretty much work its way through the system.
Budget,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I don't think anybody, I mean, that's the one thing about this town that you'll never hear a complaint, is how the cemetery's mowed.
Mm.
Everything else they'll complain about, but they're not gonna, because he does do a very good job. So,
They do look good.
H, health insurance memo.
You see, I've written up a memo. What's in this one? What I'm talked to Cameron Kimball this afternoon, and there are a lot of towns that are not happy with the price that MMA is putting out there. And I mean, we had started to look at it a little bit. Before we get back to it too much, I wanted to get some information from Cameron. He said there's 3 other companies that he can put this request out to and get pricing for us with similar plans. I have some emails. I forwarded you from
I saw that.
Chris.
Yes,
We're
yeah.
not the only town feeling the squeeze, are we?
Yeah.
Not the only town. I mean, yeah.
And Milford has changed?
No, he's on the listserv,
Uh-huh.
so he got this
I
information.
see.
And so knowing that that's kind of where we want to go with it. This is a memo, so I don't know, the wording, if you want to approve it or not approve it, or just say do it, I don't care. But this is the information that Cameron told me I had to have
For
Oh.
each employee?
for each employee to get pricing.
Oh,
but don't
okay.
you need to
That
know
makes-
whether or not it's gonna be, well, you have a number of people, but with him, like I know with me, my policy I have now, how do I explain this? I can have insurance for me, and I can have, which is obviously cheapest, so this is kind of how this tiers, and I can have insurance for me and one child, and it's still very affordable. Then I can have me and my spouse, which is way more money than just me and one child. Or then you go to the family plan, which is basically how it works. But that's why I'm wondering, just because if you don't specify that, how's he gonna be able to
Well, he told me to
Oh.
specify.
Okay, whether or not you gotta be a
Yeah,
family
that's why
and
that-
dependents and,
And based on, I mean, there's only 5 employees.
Right.
Correct.
I mean, and I know how they're all right now.
Yep.
Right.
So, but basically, if they want to change it too, and add their spouse or children or whatever, I mean, that might be a good idea.
Yeah, that's
to
a good
get that.
point. You
Well,
know,
I know-
Just for
spouse.
I'll tell you another
pricing
thing that,
purposes, if someone puts in single, but then when it comes through and they want to put in family, it's okay to do that.
correct, yes, but I mean, for you to be price shopping, it'd be good to really know what you're gonna be, direction you're going in. The other thing with the insurance that I have now doesn't apply, but it did always apply in the past, was if I could have been on my spouse's insurance. I actually
Right.
pay higher, if I was denying the insurance from my spouse, I paid more for my health care. Yes,
That's crazy.
and that's why I see, now it doesn't matter either with my insurance that I have, but in the past, if you was a smoker, you paid more
Oh, yeah.
than non. But the new company, I quit smoking, they went to a new insurance company, they don't ask that question anymore, so,
I'm surprised.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, that was one of the questions he
Oh, yeah,
specifically
that's
said.
usually
Yes.
for
And
insurance.
it was Harvey Pilgrim, Anthem, and Aetna, I think are the 3 companies that he can get direct pricing.
He didn't say which version. Well, 'cause I know like with Anthem, I mean, there's Anthem of Maine, and every state has their own.
Well, that's what MMA is Anthem.
Correct, but it depends on, like my Anthem that I had before, I was the Anthem of North Carolina.
What?
Yeah. And now I'm through, I can't remember, I'm through Insperity handles my insurance now. My health insurance is through Texas. That's how it's working. So every one of these have their own state, and every state has their own rules. Every state has a different rate, and I don't know how they slide you into these, but
Is that because your company has it's
we've never had a facility in North Carolina, and we
Oh, okay.
definitely don't have nothing in Texas.
huh?
So we was in South Carolina, but we
Oh
was never
yeah,
in North
okay,
Carolina.
that's okay.
But yeah, that's when they get Blue Cross Blue
I didn't
Shield the
think you
same way.
could go across state lines.
Yeah.
Well, that was, yeah.
So really,
Yeah.
That's-
But you're looking for permission to provide this personal information. Social Security is the only thing that really, I don't, do you want the
He
employee's
said they-
permission?
he has to have it.
Cameron has to have it.
In order
Right.
to
For price
shop.
shopping?
That's what he said.
I'm just reluctant to release their social security numbers without their permission.
Well, wouldn't they
Well,
be
they're
filling
gonna be
this
the
out?
ones
They're going to be
filling it
filling
out.
it out.
Right.
Actually,
So
you're gonna have
it's-
them sign this.
Yeah.
That would be a very good idea. That way there down the road, nobody can say,
You
I
guys
didn't know you
know."
guys were shopping for insurance.
Okay, with that clause, I like it.
Yeah.
Anything else with that? We good?
Good.
Randall email regarding Bill Martin.
So I emailed you, I think, I actually have extra copies here.
Thank you.
And I have copies of this.
Oh, look, thank you.
And I have copies of this.
Thank you.
We're definitely seeing some trees today.
Yeah, I know.
And I forwarded you and did not print the full copies of the grant.
Yes.
I have the application
Yes.
and then the program agreement.
Yes.
I have it on my phone.
So first we received this email, and I believe you all received it, and a bunch of other people.
Like a couple dozen residents
Residents.
or homes received this email. Have you folks seen this email?
No.
Would you like a copy? I have one.
I wouldn't mind going down through this email. 'cause
Yeah, I
there's a
just
lot of
thought-
things.
Yeah, I think.
There's only a few people
I mean,
here.
do we
Yeah.
Figured
want
that
to
everyone gets a copy.
read it? Do we want to go through it?
I keep you from getting
I'm
out.
happy to read it out loud.
I would share it. In fact, on the copies that you received, you can see most of the households that got it. There may be more that don't show on that actual print. So anyway, this is certainly not a private communication. Who would like to start? Anybody?
Do you want to read it?
You want to read it out loud?
I don't know, do you want it read out loud? I mean,
Sure.
You want
we
to read
can
like a
address-
paragraph and we'll stop? and
Yeah,
talk about it?
yeah.
okay. Says, Dear Ms. Jones and Board, recently I have received several phone calls expressing concerns about the apparent firing of the town's long-term maintenance man, Mr. Philip Martin, owner of Martin's Cleaning Service. I have discussed the situation at length with Mr. Martin and his wife. He tells me that he was called into the town manager's office and fired on the last day that Mr. Matthew Pinio worked for the town. Mr. Martin says that Mr. Pinio told him that the board was planning on contracting out the cleaning of the town hall and that he should expect to be back at work shortly. That was in May. Mr. Martin tells me that he has approached Ms. Jones as to why he hasn't heard anything about resuming his position and was told that the board was considering their options.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't remember exactly because I didn't do my homework, but we did discuss this back December-ish in a board meeting about putting it out to bid, and I was pretty certain we did back then discuss it.
Well, starting at the top,
Right. I'd like to
have
start
we
at
had
the top.
any calls?
No,
No?
I
I haven't had any. Have you?
No.
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 Okay. Because this phraseology, I've had many calls, has shown up in a number of
Time.
emails that I get from.
Time and time
Yeah,
again.
but yet they usually are subjects that I've had no calls.
Right.
No, I haven't had any comments.
Okay. That first paragraph, I don't know, really, this was clearly discussed. In fact, I was sitting in a meeting when Melissa said to you, as a result of the grant, you would be an independent contractor.
Correct,
And she said that in a regular meeting.
correct.
So this is just not a sincere representation of what happened. Everybody talked about this. In fact, she told you all of this in advance, and I'm just really aggravated that if you're a person on this list and you receive these emails, this is a misrepresentation of what actually happened. So that's the
But-
first paragraph.
But, oh, that's the first paragraph. Right, okay, that's the first paragraph.
Yeah, but we had nothing to do with this email.
No, I totally appreciate that.
No, we didn't? Okay.
No, I just wanted you guys to be aware of what we're addressing,
Oh, okay.
okay? So, you want to
Right,
read?
so,
Go
but
ahead.
even just that first paragraph, I mean, do we want to address the situation where, I mean, we should be getting these phone calls? And,
We repeatedly said this though, and it's just,
why are
Well, because
concerned
you're assuming these
citizens
phone call exists.
exist? Okay. Okay,
Right.
so unless really there's a list of the people that call, the concerned citizens, that then we could perhaps address them.
Well,
and-
another
and-
point that everyone should know, we made it known to everyone on this list that we were going to discuss this today. So anyone who had a concern
Right.
or an interest,
Right. Would be
including the
here.
people who wrote it, had ample opportunity to show up and discuss this.
Right.
Well, we already knew that we were gonna show up from before last time that you were here.
Yep.
I said that we would come in and I was gonna ask a few questions, so that way we would know where you guys were all standing.
Sure.
So we already knew that we're gonna come in. We were gonna come in last time, but
Yeah,
it was moved.
Phil
so-
was here last
Yeah,
Wednesday,
yeah.
and this was written on Thursday.
Right, okay,
So we.
okay.
And there's multiple tracks here, okay? I feel like when we get done this, we can address some of your concerns, but I think some of them are going to be self-evident when we get all the way through. Just as this initial process, it kind of made it, later in this letter, you're gonna see that she's accused the board of treating you in a shabby way. Well, we've already established, we all agree that you were told in advance of how this process was gonna work. So
Right.
this is all kind of gonna work, I think by the time we
Work
get to the
itself
bottom,
out.
it's gonna work itself out.
Right.
But, so does anybody else want to say anything else about that paragraph?
Just with regard to the second paragraph, my question is why is there a citizen discussing this with the Martins?
Well, in that select board meeting,
Right.
essentially the grant was coming to fruition.
Okay,
And she was explaining to him the ramifications of that.
okay,
This is coming, you will be an independent contractor, you won't be an employee anymore, and you'll have to bid for town work. She explained all that to you.
okay, okay,
And we were all there, and so were they. So,
okay, all right.
so you want to read the next paragraph?
You want me to read it again?
No, the third paragraph. Are you
Yeah,
talking about
I
the third?
remember.
Okay, I remember discussing with Mr. Wark and Mr. Gray the requirements of the micro grant that Martin Cleaning Services received. One of the stipulations of the grant required that Martin Cleaning Services remain in business for 5 years after the closure of the grant. Further, if the requirements of the grant are not fulfilled, then the town of Sangerville could be held responsible for repaying the $50,000 grant. I also remember, as part of that discussion, the purported benefits of saving the town the cost of his workman's compensation insurance and payroll tax.
Okay.
This paragraph is probably my favorite, because first of all, the good news is, at least according to Terry Holden of the Office of Community Development, there is no scenario in which the town would be liable for even $1.
Right.
Okay? So that's good news. Other good news is...
Well, we wouldn't let that happen anyways, because we fulfill, I'm a person who's gonna fulfill this contract.
Correct.
Nobody,
So, no.
you guys honestly, I mean, to me, you guys are kind of stuck in the middle of this at the moment, because we understand why you're here, but you also have to understand the position that we're in. We have this email, and we fully understand that you didn't write this. But this email is what was written that went out to the public with a lot of, I don't want to say, with a lot of misrepresented information in it. So part of what we're trying to do is get this clarified at the same time as to answer your questions and concerns. So the bad news for you, you're going to have to sit there for a minute as we go through this. But I think when we're all done, you're going to understand why we're doing what we're
Well,
doing.
I'm just was explaining that, you know, we know that grant is our responsibility,
Right.
not the town's.
Right,
So you're aware of that?
yeah,
That's what we were told.
that's what we were.
Well, and
told.
Yep.
that's,
And your obligations are very manageable. You essentially, as long as you stay in business, every
Right.
year,
With-
a portion of that disappears.
Right.
And that's,
Right.
should be a good deal for
At
everybody.
least that's what we knew.
Yep.
no, that is correct.
And I've investigated it, that's exactly how it works.
Okay.
Well, and that's why, basically, that's why the town holds a lien onto the title of the vehicle. At the end of this 5-year period, that lien disappears.
Correct.
Right,
You don't have to pay anything, but it's just
Yeah.
it just disappeared.
part of the process.
Right,
So, setting you folks aside for just a second, here's two paragraphs in a row that, in my opinion, are alarmist.
Right.
They're trying to cause trouble,
Right,
give people concern where none really should exist.
exactly.
With wrong information. Or misguided, whatever you want to call it, information.
The last portion of this, where she says, I also remember as part of the discussion, the purported benefits of saving the town cost of his workers' compensation insurance and payroll tax. This is a tell. Above, she's saying she has no idea why he was fired. And then below, she admits that she shared with us he was going to be fired.
Correct.
So it's one of the few parts of this email that's actually accurate. She did share this with us. She did tell us that this would be kind of a side benefit of this. And it supports what we've all discussed here, that everybody knew this going in. In fact, when Mr. Penio let Mr. Martin go, he was closing the loop on what the entire plan was.
Right.
So it's very frustrating, but this is the upshot of this letter is that I think it's really just to cause trouble.
Right.
It looks that way.
And one of the issues is all the townspeople that have received this aren't here to get clarity.
Well, and I'm
From
kinda-
us.
Somehow I'd like to see, I mean, it was going to be talked about. Are we planning to reply to any of this? Are we just going to let tonight be the tonight and...
I could,
That was part of my.
Email the
question
minutes.
as well, what, you know.
once they're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I don't want to do that because we've already said we're not going to email.
Right.
So
We could do something like that.
it's going to be on, this
Yeah.
is going to be part of...
There you go.
We have it, this is an item on here. So
Mm-hmm.
people will know, it's discussed,
We
it's on
could,
tape.
we could go about responding to all of those people because we told them we were going to address it in that kind of a format. if we wanted to.
But no,
Or not.
I'm just cautioning because we just voted we was not gonna put out an emailing list.
No, yeah, no.
But,
No,
no.
but I mean, we let everybody know, we were gonna discuss this tonight,
Yes.
with the assumption, hoping that people that had a concern.
Right.
Maybe the good news is there's not a lot of concern.
Correct.
Well, I had one email response, and I don't remember who it was from, that said, "What concerns?" With a question mark.
Now, the
One
other,
thing that I would like to say here, speaking as a manager per se, there's a word in this email that's repeatedly used. Now, I was not in the room, wasn't part of the conversation or anything between Matt and Phil when that happened, but I don't really think firing or fire
Right.
is an appropriate word to use. When I myself think of that word, that usually pertains with a disciplinary or a wrongful or something along that way. Everything about this wasn't about firing. It was about moving from a town employee to a contractual agreement or putting it up for bid for a possible contractual agreement. So I just want to make sure that, I think we're all on that same page, that it wasn't, that even that word is kind of a farce.
yeah, it's totally, it's really orchestrated to try to make people look like they did things they didn't do.
And just going all the way back to the first paragraph then, why are there several people calling about an apparent firing unless somebody's saying, I got fired? I mean, I'm,
Right.
Oh,
uh,
you have never said that,
No, I
have
never
you?
said that.
and I mean,
He's been here, he's never said that he was fired.
I want to make sure you never said that.
no, because then where did that come from?
No, but this is another example
Again,
of.
I think you're
I
assuming
understand.
that it has a rational basis.
So, right, so, and that's why, and I'm not accusing him, but I'm saying, if you did say that, hey, I got fired, then there are people out there that believe that you were fired. If neither of you and your Martin's Cleaning Service
Right.
didn't say
Right,
that to anyone,
right.
then
It's an assumption. This is what
where
it
did that
is.
come from? Then the statement that there are several phone calls with so anyway, it's upsetting. It really is, to have to deal with this when we're trying to do we're trying to be transparent, we're trying to move forward, and this is not moving forward for us. And so that's why we are really trying to work through this.
Well, we see things in social media. Sometimes there'll be a post, or I'm sure you've all got emails from citizens who their assertion is totally wrong. It's just wrong, but they're just misguided
Right.
or ignorant. They don't know what they don't know, so they're making an assertion or speculating in a wrongful way.
Right.
This is completely different. That's not what this is.
Yeah.
Melissa knows the truth to all of this.
Yeah.
This isn't someone who's, hey, your
Yeah,
plow
I think-
contract says you're supposed to be plowing and you're not plowing. This is totally different than that. This is a deliberate misrepresentation. And we're going to get into more of these because this is not the first one.
Yeah.
No, there's many of these.
Yeah.
There's a pattern here
Right.
of this from this person who knows better.
Right.
And honestly, the frustrating thing for me on all this is between the two of them, they have more experience than almost anybody in this town. They could contribute mightily.
Right. In such a positive fashion.
Yeah, and we could use it.
Right.
I just
Right.
am flummoxed by this.
Yeah. All right.
Want to keep going?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, much of this, she's getting into areas of management, budgetary things. These are processes that she knows.
No, but I just, if you want to, while we're on tape, let's, for
Yeah.
people that want the tape
Yeah.
later, or
Yeah.
down the road if we
Oh.
need this, it's all on.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if we continue to read and
Yeah.
move forward.
Paragraph 4. To the best of my knowledge, there was no formal plan to fire Mr. Martin or replace him with an independent contractor formally discussed through motion and vote while I was on the board, or were there any presented at the budget committee meetings? The budget lines for general government included Mr. Martin's full compensation, including in separate accounts, payroll taxes and workmen's compensation with no reduction or discussion at town meeting. I have reviewed the select board meeting minutes from September of 2016 to the present and find no reference or agenda item where the town manager, either Church, Pinio, or Jones, was instructed to fire our former employee. How did this come about? Why was no vote taken in a public meeting? Did the former town manager do this without instruction from the full board? Mr. Martin has worked satisfactorily for the town for 20 years. This is a shabby way to treat him. I remember we have had more than one occasion where town employees have been fired and the town has paid dearly for the subsequent lawsuits.
Where do you begin?
Well,
Just incredible.
Yeah.
two of the documents that I gave you are specific reference to the town manager's, it's the state law,
Okay.
and this one is from the municipal officer's manual. And if you go to the last 2 pages, you'll see there it is the town manager's dilemma.
And this is coming back to my point.
This is back to managerial.
She
So this is
knows all this.
managerial.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you got a letter from Joe Smith, and it said all this,
You'd
Joe
say,
doesn't know
okay,
the rules.
right,
She
right.
knows the rules, she knows there's no motions, there's no board action, that's not how this is done.
Right.
And she knows that.
Yeah, we're not coming to a board meeting and discuss personnel matters of any kind.
Never.
That's right.
Now, but what we did discuss in a meeting, as Phil's already said, we did discuss this about moving, because it wasn't a firing of, it was a transitioning to a contractual position.
Correct.
That was discussed in board.
To
So
the
that
best
is-
of my knowledge, there was no formal plan. That's just false.
She admitted to that up above in the following with the last sentence.
Right.
The
And
benefits of saving the town.
That's right.
And everybody in this room was there when she
Did that.
closed the loop on this. It was not just her, it was a process. So,
But it is not up to the.
Question?
yes.
I don't mean to cut anybody
No,
off.
that's-
here.
No, go ahead.
Okay, all right, so, because I wasn't here when all this happened. Okay, so it was supposed to go into, you guys are supposed to turn it into a contract, that's what you guys wanted to do, correct?
Not necessarily, that's a whole separate
Okay.
step,
All right.
okay?
So,
And it does get confusing, but that,
That is what was discussed
correct,
about putting it out for a bid.
that you would be, if that work was available, you would be able to bid to get that work. Now, just like we're talking about the lawn mowing contract, you'd have to be the lowest bid or competitive. I mean, it's, in other words, everybody could bid for it.
Right.
Anybody in the business. And as it happened, it was it was kind of a slow time of year, and when we were without a cleaning company, Matthew just started letting the public works guys do the work. Felt like he had plenty of time to do that, and we haven't addressed that issue. We don't know yet whether we're going to put it out for bid or not. Just like you saw us discussing items tonight, we haven't discussed this item yet. So it just has never gone out for bid yet, but it may. And when it does, you will know.
But what would happen during that time? You still gonna have public works do it? Or-
Well, I think the office staff, I mean, you guys actually in the office, you're doing some of this, right? I mean, as far as the trash or,
If it needs to.
that's what I'm saying though, I mean. So it's more of at this time, it's been a mutual absorption of a lot of different people. It's not really you're not one person spending 2 hours today doing it, or it's when I have a little bit of time today, I have time to do that, I can do that. It's part of my daily
The public
routine.
works comes in and they do the vacuuming a couple times a week. I haven't seen that it gets really dirty. The library has had no complaints. I specifically asked.
And that's further on down in the letter about, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that in a second.
But this would totally be the town manager's call. It would be, if the town manager felt that she needed another person in the office to help, the town manager would come to the board, and say, I think I need a part-time person. That's how it happens. And the same thing with, if she felt she needed somebody for cleaning, she would come to us. That hasn't happened yet. It may, but it may not.
It's no different than if you came to a meeting and suggested that, we don't really need 2 full-time people in the office. We need 3. Or, that would be budgetary, we would have to make that expansion. And at the same breath, if you come to us and said, well, we really only need 1.5.
And that's what we were
That's
getting.
part of,
The board doesn't say, you need to get rid of one of those people in the office. That's not how it works. We're not even allowed to do that.
Right.
So some of the assertions that are made in this email are just way off base. So that's.
Finally,
what I'm saying.
I would like to know why it is preferable to pay upwards of $30 per hour with benefits for vacuuming the hall and cleaning the restrooms by both Public Works employees than to pay Mr. Martin at $10 per hour with no benefits. It is also troubling that men who could be out doing much needed road work are scrubbing toilets.
Okay. That's,
Yeah, I don't have anything more to add.
no.
but you only got them in there a couple hours a week.
Their maximum, and it's usually just one of them. It's usually just Rick that comes in. He's usually in and out in an hour or less. And that's 2 hours a week,
Mhm.
max.
So if we were to put the contract out for bid, you'd be talking something like 2 to 3 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a huge
No.
deal, okay? It's not like a school. Okay.
I have always found Mr. Martin a competent, valuable, and reliable employee and an asset to the town of Sangerville. I am requesting that an equitable contract, at least through the end of 2017, be awarded to Martin Cleaning Services, considering his further costs of liability and workman's comp insurance and payroll taxes, costs that any independent contractor would calculate into his pay. I would also like to see this done as soon as possible, preferably at the next Selectmen's meeting. I would also expect that there be some assurance from the board to Mr. Martin that his services will be required in 2018, thus assuring the taxpayers of Sangerville that their investment in Martin's cleaning service was well placed.
Knowing that I've been with the town for 20 years and then being let go without a replacement, because I couldn't help but the cause was a concern for me and what's happening. I thought that by the end of June or whatever, by July, that this was taking place, but it hasn't happened.
Well, that's what,
So that's why that you can see the concern there.
I understand your concern. I don't understand her concern. Because when I read this, and I don't want, this is no bad, nothing, anything to do with you, your service to the town or anything. But for anybody on the outside, not fully understanding or knowing what we're doing, demanding the board pay for a service without knowing its cost or its long-term effect in cost is absurd. That is not looking out for the best interest of our town.
It's particularly absurd if you have nearly a decade of municipal experience. It's one thing for someone at Joe's barbershop to say you should do this,
Right,
but this is beyond that.
right.
This is like a doctor telling you you should start smoking. This is absurd.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know.
the way I see this is, and this is my opinion, 100%. This whole conversation is a managerial conversation. It's not up for us to decide the direction this goes in. If our town manager tells us that Public Works she can get this done with the girls helping out while they have time, and Public Works is coming in here a couple hours a week, I don't see how you're going to contractually put this cleaning out for bid less than that. Or I don't know how anybody could put a bid in for 2 hours worth a week and make it worth their effort. Now maybe the other answer is not really, if we're doing this piece, But I mean, we still have rugs that need to be cleaned professionally cleaned.
Right.
I mean, I personally think that's more of a direction as far as any type of that's where we should be going.
And
We
Phil and
can-
I talked about that, and I told him, yes, we do want the rugs cleaned, and he is going to do that.
That's an annual thing. that
I
you-
think is it twice a year? isn't
Twice
it?
a year.
Twice a year.
Your call again, totally your call.
Right.
Yeah.
But if it's a couple hours a week, it's probably not a significant impact on your business.
Well, when I was doing it for the town, I was doing 11 hours a week. At the library here, bathrooms, and the town office. And also, I take care of the trash, and also during the winter, I would shovel out the entryways and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So I was doing more than just doing the town office. I was doing here, library, the whole span.
Right, but you have to understand what we're looking at too, is that with the people in the office, with the people helping out when they have time available, we're only actually spending an extra 2 hours a week. So we're not saying that if we told everybody you can't do that anymore, then you are absolutely right. You're probably in that 10, 11 hours a week scenario. But by better utilizing our employees in their day-to-day job, that's the conversation is at this time we don't need anybody for 10 or 11 hours a week. We would need somebody for that twice a week, an hour at a time. And that's right now, that's what
Right.
Public Works is actually doing that.
Yes.
And we're paying a cost of $12.50 an hour plus benefits. I mean,
Right,
to do that.
plus that you guys are also paying for chemicals, which that we would supply. So that way, that you guys will not have to worry about the chemicals. All that you guys would have to worry about is the paper towel and the toilet paper, and that's it.
I mean, we could, if that's your call. If you want us to do a cost comparison, that's totally up to you. But I don't personally see I think the way you're going is the cheapest for the town to do it.
Right.
But that's your call, what you want to do.
This is none of my business. You don't have to answer my question. I'm just curious. I read the application. It was kind of the argument for getting this grant. It was kind of an interesting process. Ken Woodbury did all this. He obviously knew what he was doing. Has the result of this capital improvement has it helped your business? Have you grown it some or?
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
grown it some.
Good.
Mhm.
Good.
Yes.
Did you ultimately add an employee, or has that happened yet? Or?
Part-time, off
Part-time,
and
yeah.
on.
Good.
We need them, yeah.
Good.
It's not something that's, 40 hours a week, unfortunately.
Well,
But
could get there.
It could get there as time goes on,
Sure.
but right now, we're behind on a couple of jobs, and it's just the scheduling, because we have other accounts going too,
Good. Well,
so
good to be busy.
That's
it
right.
is. It is.
Well, I apologize that these issues are kind of getting commingled, and I appreciate your patience with this, because you didn't write this, and our frustration with this has nothing to do with you folks at all.
No.
So back to this letter, and I mean, we can speculate about motivation or what's going on, but how do we want to respond to this?
Have we ever found out an easy way to put that tape on our website?
No, we have not.
There is no easy.
We haven't found it out.
The issue is with uploading. If you don't have, remember, I
Yeah.
did every which way I possibly could, and uploading just jammed us up, and it didn't work.
Because it's so long.
Yeah, it's a huge
Right.
file.
It's a 2-hour file.
Yeah.
And it would, it was gonna be like 23 hours.
Oh.
There was a little timer,
Oh.
this will be 23 hours. Well, and then it would just shut down.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just the uploading, we
But
don't have high.
We don't have the
speed
compression
internet
software,
here.
because when you upload a video to YouTube, of course, they're not 2 hours either. You're
Right.
uploading a 3-minute video.
I
Yeah,
tried
compression
everything
software is the key.
When Matthew was,
Yeah.
when he was temping, and I just couldn't get it. It just,
I don't have it on, I know at work, because our email at work is very limited on what, 5 pictures will tie it right up. It ain't going. And, but I've got huge files, and that's what I do, is I put them on our common drive, and my IT guy goes in, and he compresses them, and I can email them anywhere.
So
I
your
don't know
thought
how
would
it
be,
works, I have no idea.
if we could get this audio on there, that would be one remedy.
Sure.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Because we always have this conversation about our minutes. Everybody reads the minutes. Well, you can read them all you want, but you don't get, we're not dictating every word or, everybody's comments are all in writing. But somehow, if we could get this up, and then you don't have to worry about it. You have it, because you do have it.
I'm wondering if the website recently went down again because our provider had not done something and you were able to get it right back up. I'm wondering if this person, we are paying them something. I mean, if you asked her, is there a way to put audio files on this thing? Do you know how to do it? I mean, she might have some suggestion.
Probably, it depends on what you have for speed here.
But I think if you can compress it, that's the key. I don't know how that works, but I've taken huge Excel files and
Excel, digital,
That's different than
Yeah.
Very
audio file.
at the end of the day, it's still so many kilobytes. So it's so big.
but
Yeah.
audio files are huge compared to a written file.
I understand, but
Yeah.
And I'm reticent to get into a spamming war.
I don't. That's why I
No,
don't want to get
no,
into this
I-
emailing and.
I'm betting that half the people that got this wish they didn't get it in the first place.
Right.
And the other side of this, though, if we do the response, I already know what's going to happen. If you respond, put in red underneath, this is the answers, you're going to send that out.
It's going to come back over the net.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
You're going to get a new email
Yeah.
with all kinds of things that we're going to have to explain again.
Yeah.
I think the thing to
With
do
more
is,
misrepresentations.
I think we need to do what we're doing right now. And then the people that truly
Have a concern.
have a concern, it is on tape, it's on our agenda, you can come in. If you don't want to come in to be here, it is on the agenda, people are going to know it, you can ask for the audio and you can take it home and listen to it.
One thing, this is in this vein, Diane's letter was a great letter. It's still a part of the public record, but she had called and asked that we take it down, and we did. But I'm thinking that maybe a message from the board in a similar vein, essentially, and maybe we can make it more towards this. Essentially, asking people to help us work through this dysfunction.
Right.
We're like a family here, and
Right.
we've got a dysfunctional family. And I really don't care what she or anyone else says about me, or even you guys. I know.
No, I don't either.
And
I do not care at all.
I care more about Lois because we hired her, and it doesn't
Right.
seem fair to her that she gets
Correct.
disparaged. But
Right.
that aside, it really is messing with the town.
That's right.
It is.
It is.
And I think this is as much our responsibility to try to push us in the right direction as it is managing the money and the budget and everything else.
I think we ought to have something so people know. Not only that, but it ought to be part of our statement is that if you do receive an email, or if you write an email, and somebody receives that, that is public document. That person does have the right to give it to a selectman, and we will address it in the next meeting.
That's the other point. You're right. I think we need to make it standard practice that we are going to address these as they
Yes,
come in.
as it comes.
Yes.
They'll be
Yep.
public record.
Yep.
They'll be on tape.
Yep.
Copies will be available for anybody who wants to read them.
Yep.
And we will answer to them. In
Right.
other words, if you get one of these, and this is where I kind of would like to see this on the website,
Share.
call us.
Right.
Say, gee, they're saying that you guys had a vote to fire Elvina.
Right.
Okay, well, that's
Great.
all made up. You don't have to worry about it. I mean,
Right.
But anything's possible these
And we
days.
will address them.
Yep.
I've actually heard that already.
And-
that was the select board is going to get rid of Alvina. It's like, yeah, my house is going to burn down by morning if that happened. I know better. Come on.
Yeah.
Well,
You
thank
have-
you for your guys' time. Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
No,
go ahead.
go ahead.
No,
No, I thought you were done, that's why.
we are done that
We
letter.
do.
We're
got
done
some
with
more,
that
but-
letter.
Yeah, but you're welcome. Thanks for coming
Your
in.
time,
Yep.
and sorry that we took up time too.
No,
Oh,
You didn't.
no, not at all.
You were
That's
you were
fine.
very helpful. I appreciate you being here.
Okay. Okay, well, you guys have a great evening.
And I can assure you, if this goes out for bid, you will know about it.
Okay. All right, well, thank you anyways.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
No, not, that is not an inconvenience at all.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You want to stay on this for a little while longer?
You want to keep going to the next one?
Well,
I have a new one.
you've got a new
If
one.
have
there's
one that I
anything-
received.
Yeah, and I.
Is this the one to Chummy?
Yes.
I agree
Do
with,
you want it here or do you want it on a different topic?
I would keep going.
oh,
Do we want to add an item? It's another email.
We can add it, letter J,
Yep.
okay?
another email.
Email
and
to
what-
Chummy.
Yep.
Misinformation.
Mutual Concerns is the name of the email. If you would.
Do you have this, Joe?
Well, yeah, thank you.
So this was written on 9/8 from Melissa Randall to Chummy Jackson. It says, "Hi Chummy, I hope that our new board would behave honorably, but apparently not. Personally, I have a problem with that one word right there right off the bat. But I'm deeply worried about the lack of respect for the FOAA laws. Did you happen to notice how the Emergency Road Committee meeting posting has been changed into a select board workshop?" And that's a question. Not only did they have an illegal meeting, but they went back and changed the posting on the website. Take a screenshot today. Who's handling the website? We should talk, Melissa. It's taken me a while to figure this out because I was trying to figure out what
Meeting.
but the only meeting that, and this I'm guessing because obviously I don't know. We've only had one emergency road committee meeting, and that was, wasn't a emergency road committee meeting. It was an emergency select board's workshop
On the roads.
on the roads
On
on
Silver's
Silver's
Mills.
Mills.
That's right.
That's when we met with the contractors up there.
Correct,
That was never posted as an emergency road committee meeting.
correct.
It was posted
Is that
as
the
a
one she's
select
talking
board.
about here?
That's the only one that I can
That-
figure out that she's talking about.
We're all guessing because we don't know. We didn't read it. But when you look at the date, it should have fallen within the last couple of weeks, I would assume.
Oh, that's right, that's right, because that was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
2 or 3 weeks.
Right.
And the posting was done properly.
It was done properly.
I came in on Saturday,
Posted it.
posted it, called the media for Sunday. And I emailed her the agenda.
What's
yeah.
interesting is,
But it was emailed as a workshop.
Notice, yeah.
Correct.
It was never
Never
ever,
an
ever
emergency
posted.
road committee
It was
meeting.
It was, it was an emergency Board of Selectmen meeting.
workshop
Right, workshop on the roads.
and we
With
invited.
The road
Right,
committee.
and that was on there, the road committee members may be present.
Mhm.
So it wasn't actually.
So, yeah, and I agree with you. The first sentence is really troubling.
I had high hopes that our new board would behave honorably, but apparently not. I questioned how high our hopes were. There's a theme here, the lack of respect for FOIA laws. This isn't the first time that she's thrown that one out. There's an email to Lois in July, and it says, I've received many phone calls and emails as to why the town website is no longer being updated with agendas and minutes.
Oh, right.
I should not need to remind you that the Freedom of Information Act requires you to post your meetings and provide minutes. As the town website has, up until the hiring of Ms. Jones, been one of the places where the select board has posted their meetings and minutes, I'm curious as to why this practice has been abandoned. Did you vote on it in a meeting?
And everything at that time was up to date.
Completely up to
Everything that
date.
had been approved was on there.
Right.
Yes.
So,
Completely.
right.
But so this FOIA thing might be something that I don't know.
Right. Now, just a question, did this email trouble Chummy?
Well,
I mean, or
he
it-
clearly brought it right, I don't remember what day was the 8th. He was, I seen.
It's a Friday.
Okay, he was at my house Sunday with it.
He's a town official now.
He is a
He's on
town
this-
official.
That's right.
He was
That's
present
right.
at the meeting.
That's right,
If this is the one she's referring to.
Yes, correct.
right,
Um,
that's right.
And she also happens to throw in
Oh, yeah,
who's handling the town website.
yeah, that,
Clearly, everyone knows. who-
That's too cute by half.
Yeah.
I know.
I mean, there's more of these. I don't know how far we want.
I
Well-
don't. I think what I would like to do myself personally, and you guys, if you want to go a different direction, just we can. But what I would like to do is these are the two most current. We've clearly addressed them in the meeting. We brought them up to speed. I'd like to kind of draw a line in the sand and let's move forward. I do like your idea of coming up with something of a letter, a statement, mission
outreach.
statement of,
Yep,
yeah.
that all of us are a part of and agree upon for
But
our
I think
town.
we need to acknowledge that this is going on,
right,
so that when people see it, that they're more apt to bring it to us. If we ask them to help us with this,
right,
Well, at the same breath, I want people to understand that if you want to write this kind of letter and question our honorability, then we are going to address this in an open meeting. And I think that alone, because I think a lot of this stuff is getting, I don't think they think it's coming around. When every one of these emails is getting back to us.
yeah, which is a good sign.
It's very good,
Well, we don't know what we're not seeing.
Well, correct.
right,
I know, looking at the names on the list, you know,
But some of these are pretty serious accusations.
They are.
Okay? The mishandling, some of these could get us in trouble, and partly because of what I said before, of who she is. This isn't just someone saying, you fired this person improperly. Okay, this is former chair.
right,
And so if someone does get terminated, and these things are being spread around in emails, they could put the town in some jeopardy.
the former chair, this is what the former chair, it's like that person is now on that side when we're part of that conversation originally to begin with.
Yeah,
that's what's really,
it's bizarre.
it is really bizarre behavior.
And these laws, these FOIA laws, just like HIPAA laws, these things they're serious violations.
That's right,
To accuse us of these violations is without question defamation.
right,
Now,
It's
are we
not-
ever going to get to that point? Probably not. It's a really hard thing to win. But that is really what's happening right now.
It's not our role to talk about personnel issues,
She knows that.
so. But no, I can guarantee you, I do not have time with my work schedule at the moment to try to come up with something for a statement, so if you
Yeah,
know.
we'll work on it.
Yeah,
And we'll all agree on it. We will have something to look at by next meeting.
okay,
that's good,
Okay?
that's good, yes. Yeah, perfect.
and I clearly.
We would love
And
your input.
We'll
Yes.
continue to address these as they
come in.
As they come in,
Yeah, no more sweeping them under the rug.
no,
No, and I did clearly, that was shared with me, and I did ask Chummy, do you mind if I bring that up in a public meeting? And I know he is a town official, technically it already fell under the.
That's
I
right.
did let him know
That's
that it's kind of already public record, but no, he said for us that it was okay to openly discuss it.
Right.
so.
and, again, Mike, you mentioned Diane McCarthy Clark taking her letter that she wrote so eloquently down, and, I question why she felt as though she needed to take it down. I mean,
She told me she was getting some pushback. And she just.
and, so that's bullying another citizen.
Well, I wouldn't, it's
You know-
not fair for me to paraphrase it that way. But
No,
that's why
no.
she wanted it down.
Right.
So we took it down.
I mean, Diane's I've known her a long time, you've known her a long time. She's,
I reread her email several times, her letter several times, and I came to the conclusion that the only persons that could be insulted or find fault with her letter would be the very type of person that
Right.
she was referencing.
right, and therefore, so that's concerning, that people can't write, they can write disparaging things, but they can also write things that are positive and requesting, and, that got taken down. So,
You're dealing with people who will literally create a narrative,
right,
just out of whole cloth. You're dealing with a whole different level of personality.
yeah.
And I think that's why we need to get it up on the website and let
Right.
everybody know we're trying to get ahead of it.
Right, exactly. So, to protect anybody, they can say whatever they want. Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just it. I don't always want to hear about a bad email. I mean, if there's, you know what I
That's
mean?
right.
Like the Diane, I loved reading that. That was,
Yeah.
that ought to be laminated and stenciled right on the wall forever. I mean,
So,
All right, we'll all work on something and
very good.
hopefully we'll have something.
Very, very good.
Kind of lost mine. There you go. Old business.
I left it blank, we had so much other.
Okay. Correspondence. Tracy Hibbard.
Kazrazak.
So you've got this. It's just an invitation. They're opening their cancer treatment center. It is actually the same date, the 23rd, 10 to 12 in the morning. So if you want to make a day of community service, hit this first in the morning, and then our Sangerville.
you're going
My
to
husband and
remind
I,
us, right?
Do what?
You're going to remind us, right?
I put it in my calendar on
yeah,
my phone.
tell your phone to remind you.
We paid all kinds of money for that. How come we don't
Just
have
so
a Google
you
Calendar
know,
with us?
my husband and I are going to this. So I will be representing the board if no one else can go.
I plan on going.
Oh, good, very good. So we'll see you there. From what I understand, it's beautiful, state of the art.
I'm not even sure where to go, but
Oh, just across the street?
in the dwelly.
Yeah,
Oh, it's at the hospital.
it's at the hospital, yeah.
I'm sure they'll have signs.
Well, is this an indication that the hospital is on better footing?
Well, this was a donation from Jane Merrill, who owned Hibbard's.
Okay.
This is her daughter who passed away from cancer.
Okay.
And so there was a sizable donation that built this.
Wow.
Yeah, this cancer treatment facility. Wing, but I guess it's just state of the art, and it's mostly for administering, the cancer drugs
Sure,
and things
but
like
if you
that.
live in Piscataquis County, this is a nice thing.
Very, very, very
Better than
nice.
Brewer.
It
You bet.
You would be amazed if you knew how many people in this area that was commuting to Dover daily, weekly for treatments.
For treatments.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean, this in our area is huge.
Yeah. No, I'm sure if you had to deal with it.
Well, and there's one citizen who gets long periods of treatment, several days, and has always had to go in the maternity ward because it was the only place where there was a bed. And so he will, he said it was quite nice because it was always so joyful. Anyway.
Okay. MMA risk management.
This is just a letter that you received saying that we've got a disbursement on our dividend. Workers' comp, we're part of a fund program through Maine Municipal, and we pay into them, and if we don't have claims, they give
Oh,
you
yeah.
back certain portions of dividends. And I think it was $1,600.
That's good. Very
Yeah,
good.
Take it.
That's a ramp for the gazebo
Yes.
right there.
Verbal judo class.
Did you see this? I'm seriously
Oh,
thinking,
we are going?
in light of what's going on.
Here.
I
Verbal
think
judo.
I laughed because we're not the only ones that
Right, it
that
might be a good
clearly,
tool.
yeah, I think it's so funny.
It is fun. The guy's really good. I've done an abbreviated version at tax school because tax people, when you're an assessor and you go to somebody's house and you say, I want to come assess your house, and they don't want to let you in, it's how you talk your way into getting into the home. Well, let me help you. Let me, help me help you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and he is really good.
That's great. When is that? August? No.
It's October.
October, but in Augusta?
It's
Where-
the Friday before deer season, I think.
It's Friday, October 27th is at the Hilton Garden Inn in Bangor.
Oh, in
They have
Bangor.
two different, yeah.
Yeah, the
so
spring
it's that
one's
one.
gone,
Spring one's
yeah.
gone.
Oh.
So
what
it is in
time?
Bangor. It's
There's
an
a
all
fee.
day.
Yeah, it is pricey.
No, if you're members, it's $95.
That's pricey.
That's not bad.
It's a full day.
It's a full day.
Yeah, I
They
know.
give you breakfast, they give you snack in the morning, they give you lunch, they give you lunch, snack in the afternoon. It's carb coma all day.
Okay.
You can eat your $95 there.
Yes, yes.
And you have to have that thought process. It makes you feel better about spending that money.
Honestly, I wouldn't give my day to many things, but I would consider doing this. I think it.
I think this-
And Lois, you've been to it and you said it's worthwhile.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I did.
Are you recommending that all should go, or a couple should go? One should go? I mean, it's $95. Three of us.
I mean, the
that's-
town's not
we're
paying
four.
for it, correct?
The town can pay for
Yeah,
it.
the town does pay for it.
It's training.
It's training.
It's
It's
training.
training.
Oh,
It's part of our MMA membership.
Okay.
It's twice that if you weren't a member of
Okay.
MMA.
Right.
oh,
My feeling is if anybody wants to go,
right,
we should allow them to go.
right.
If you don't want to go, you don't have to go.
I have to look. When is it? October?
How much do we even have
October
budgeted for
27th.
training stuff?
Don't know.
For training?
Yeah,
For
us.
education and training.
I don't know, but I can check.
Yeah, we
Once
can.
you do that,
Yeah, I mean, because we've all been to one. I don't
Right.
remember what that one was.
that
the
was
fee
our workshop. That
That's
was
right.
actually very useful.
That was
I'm not
useful.
saying it's
Yeah.
not, but
It
That
was.
only
but
a
I mean,
few hours.
but I mean,
comparison.
right? I mean, I don't think that one was very much. I was thinking that was a.
It was like 35 or 40
Yes.
bucks
Yep. Yep.
So
each, so that
But
wasn't
still, I
too
mean-
much.
$160.
Yep.
So then if we do another one, it's 400, and really, I've been waiting to see it, but that roads one is the one that
Oh,
The what one?
the road deal, the one that DOT puts out.
For
you've been
which
to
one?
that.
Yes,
For what?
That was a
part
full
of the
day
road?
too,
the
wasn't it?
full day on Charlotte of everything.
Um, They're not doing anything right now because their guy resigned and took a job in the private sector and they haven't replaced him yet, so they haven't been doing classes.
Oh, no.
So.
But I mean, I know they do a lot of individualized classes, but that one, the one-day class that I went to covered everything from gravel roads to up top to ditching to culverts to
Ice and
plowing,
snow, everything.
paving. I mean, it was,
That sounds really good.
It is
and
a-
I will guarantee you will learn.
Mm.
Yeah.
I would say maybe we'll have Lois check what there is in the budget
Yeah,
for
yeah,
training.
yeah.
And see where we stand, and we'll know next week.
And
Yeah.
we won't go over our budget.
Correct.
That's enough idea.
That'd be a nice thought. I like that.
We have a sprinkler inspection certificate.
Great,
We were inspected, we passed.
great, good,
Excellent.
very good.
There'll probably be an email out tomorrow saying we failed.
Who signed that?
Jerry Rush, I think. Yep, Jerry Rush.
Ah, SAD4, well,
SAD 4 vote and budget, it
how did
passed.
that, it
It
passed?
passed.
You did.
By 7.
They said it.
No.
Yeah.
I
So,
kept looking
when everybody
to see.
says that your vote's not important,
Mm,
it passed by 7.
wow,
Yeah.
wow.
And it actually passed by quite a bit in Sangerville.
Yep. So we,
Wow, interesting.
2018 state property valuation review.
Yeah, that's just an informational, that's what they're estimating our town is valued at. It's a
Does it go up or
two-pager.
Is it here?
It typically, it might be in that section right there.
This one?
yeah, there was a whole list of them all over.
Yeah, it lists all the towns. and
Oh,
counties.
yeah, I saw that, I
Yeah.
saw that. Yeah, yeah. Oh, Piscataway.
And what happens is you give it to the Hamlin, and if they feel that it's misrepresented, they're supposed to be able to argue it for you, but they don't. Well, usually the state doesn't adjust. They feel that they're right, so. I haven't seen anybody successfully argue that valuation.
Uh-huh. Do we know whether Hamlin's ever argued on behalf of
I don't know,
Salem?
I don't know.
Do they charge extra?
Yeah, I'm
Sure they would.
not.
So what's the true nuts and bolts of what this number?
Means.
The state valuation?
Yes.
That's what's based on, that's what your county tax is based on, it's what your school budget is based on, your main revenue sharing is based on that. That's what the state uses for anything to do with state monies.
Okay.
For generating money for the state. So
But,
this is,
we're like higher than every town around here, other than Guilford. That's why how did they come up with this number?
because we submit every year what our,
From our property tax evaluations.
yeah.
Everything goes
And
into
they
this, your
calculate-
roads.
they-
That's what I thought,
Yeah.
in your equipment and your,
Well, and they calculate rate of growth. There's a form that has to be filled out by Hamlin in the spring, and it's based on rate of growth. It has to do with the LD1.
so even us having a fire, like when I look at this, okay, so if I look at Abbott, or a Monson, or Parkman, or, these guys are all relatively similar. Abbott is actually fairly closer to us, which I was surprised, but, what is our fire station, or us having a fire station? That must add, that's all added value to make our valuation go up, right? Because of
No.
the equipment and the,
No,
no?
that's your property. That's not town.
But that's nothing to do
That's-
with the town is into this number.
No. That's why I say if you ever do anything to the Abbey Fowler building and you put it in a TIF, say somebody
Correct.
puts $1 million, that's where it gets reflected.
Aha.
It's
Aha.
based on property values. When people buy and sell, they do a sales ratio study. And so depending on those,
We were told in the past that this also has to do with the condition of our roads, major improvements in our infrastructure
I guess that's possible.
would make this number go up. That's where I was under the assumption that a town like Sangerville with a fire station and fairly new equipment.
No,
Would-
I've
would
always been
rate you higher
under the
than a-
impression that that's based on sales ratio and how Sangerville's at 100% certified ratio, which means if your tax assessor says your house is valued at 100,000, you're paying taxes on 100,000, and you get the full 100% reimbursement for at the exemption. Whereas if you're at say an 80% certified ratio, then that's reflected in all your taxes, and that's what that is based on, those numbers. So you want to be close to 100% because when the state does your sales
Correct.
ratio, if you're undervalued or overvalued, that's how that affects that.
Mm.
I
Personal
was just looking
property,
at, yeah, but I
that's
mean,
all in there.
I don't know.
Oh, personal property.
Anything that's off your tax evaluation.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Dover is the highest. And
Those
Greenville.
two towns.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and that's surprising as well.
What?
Dover being that much over Greenville.
How much, I
300, 301.8.
And 288, I mean, yeah.
301 and
I mean,
280.
with Dover, you're talking Sebec Lake. Greenville,
Yeah.
you're talking Moosehead.
Moosehead.
I mean, that's what's driving that number up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
you're
you're-
talking Dover and Foxcroft. It's like the largest township in the state, acreage-wise.
Correct.
Mm.
All right. And they have the river, so any riverfront too, not just the Sebec Lake, it's riverfront, shorefront.
That kind of ends correspondence.
Yes.
Request for additional agenda items.
Anything?
This may be out of sequence, but you sent us the minutes of the Abbey Fowler
Abbey
Committee.
Fowler. I did.
And it looks like they're kind of moving ahead. There's some meaningful discussions about places that they would consider and places they didn't want to consider. And if I'm not mistaken, they're going to join us next week.
Yes, they will be here at your next meeting. They had a meeting on Monday to revamp some of that, go over those items that they've got on that list. I think cut it down to be more specific maybe and clarify. And then they will be at the next meeting here to present their thoughts and impressions and
Good, very good.
I'm wondering, does anybody have a feeling about inviting Mr. Howard to next week's meeting?
I talked to one of the members of the rec committee last week prior to this meeting.
Rec or Abby Fowler?
Oh, sorry, Abby Fowler.
Okay.
Tired. I've been in meetings all day. So, just because I did attend we did the walkthrough.
Yeah.
Then I did sit on that meeting later.
Oh,
in
yeah.
that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, they had a meeting after that I didn't attend. And then, so I did call one of the members and to see how that went, what they was feeling out of a direction, and kind of did the him and hawing back and forth, and was listening to what she said, and a lot of the direction that I was hearing was really steering this right towards the one proposal that we have. So I asked, did it come up? Have you talked about the senior living? Is that, everything you're saying, that's where you're funneling, is right in that direction. But did anybody bring it up in the meeting? Well, no, we didn't. So I asked, I said, have you thought about having him come to your meeting? And they asked if they could, and I said, sure you can. If you don't want to make that call, please reach out to Lois. I'm sure Lois would gladly reach out to him. Or if, have you go through your chair and see if the chair wants to do that. And I know they were going to talk to the chair about that, but that was right before this meeting, so.
Well, then this might align perfectly with that.
Mm-hmm.
This is a board meeting, so Mr. Howard and anyone else for that matter
Sure.
is welcome at our board meeting.
Well, this will be on the agenda.
Right, and I'm just thinking, what a great opportunity
Right.
for him to meet this committee,
Yes.
meet us.
Yeah.
They're a steering committee. Their mission statement is our mission statement.
Right.
Because Lois and I have talked a little bit about their meetings, and I think some of them, and I'm paraphrasing, it's me, but I'm getting the impression that maybe it's a bit overwhelming. Like, I'm not an engineer, I don't know that you can or can't do this, and I think maybe with everybody in the room, the conversation
things
might
along.
flow.
Right.
Well, and I said that
That's
to
a
that
great
person
idea.
too. I said, we understand you're not lawyers, you're not bankers, that's not what we're asking you to do.
Right.
I said, but now the meeting that I did attend that night, there was and I didn't make a comment after the meeting, but I thought about it more after it was gone, there was a statement made that, between coming up with a thought process, dealing with an individual, reviewing a business plan, having it reviewed with an attorney if that would be the best fit for the town, to move all of that forward is going to take months. And what I reminded this person is, everything you're talking about, that senior living, that's already been done. So he's already spent a lot of money researching all this. The business plan is there, the layout, what you're going to do, it's all done.
His acumen, he brings that to this.
Right.
Correct.
He knows what.
Right.
Correct.
They don't have to. Right.
And
Right.
I explained to her, I said, if the committee really felt that was the direction to go and they wanted to pursue that, it would take us longer to have a town meeting to approve it and longer to get the deed changed over to that person's name than anything else you're worrying about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it wasn't for the time it takes to do those two things, we could sell this tomorrow. Because all of that work is done. So.
But I'm hopeful that if he could come, share his vision, assuming that he would, I mean, we'll assume that, that then we could proceed with getting some clarity on some of those things that concern them.
Right.
Because I believe there are, you could go to a real estate attorney and he could draw up a contract that would protect the town's interests. At the same time, Mr. Howard would be happy, or someone like him.
Right.
I know that's possible, but some people in this committee, I don't think really are sure how you would do that.
Right.
So, I don't know.
I think it's a great idea.
I
Just
mean,
to kickstart it. Get
Yeah,
just
kick
Well,
yeah.
I have told them, that they need to contact Mr. Howard.
Right, but
And-
nobody has.
And I had one of the members say, well, have you contacted Mr. Howard? I said, yes, I have. And he's waiting for
To hear from you.
to contact him to come to a meeting.
I think it might even be better this way.
I do
Right.
too. But I wouldn't mind blowing through this really quick. I mean, when you look at this list, now the big focus we have on all of this is the area. So 1 through 4 is all about that being a school, or a college, or a preschool. Number one, the preschool end of it, that's a nice thought, but we have dwindling numbers.
Oh, yeah.
We could put a preschool in this room for
Yeah.
our area. And actually, we've had 2 in the last few years that have tried being
Is that
run,
right?
and they've gone out because they don't have enough numbers.
No.
The other piece to this is, if you go stand up at the school system we have now, if you turn that, say we had the mysterious donor that's going to donate and refurbish this into the brand new high school, you're talking 30 buses a day in and out of here, diesels. You're talking 200 cars a day in and out of that road in a residential area. So I don't really think,
No, if you put it back to its original use, a lot of the
It wouldn't
exceptions would fly in the face. You know,
Right.
too much traffic.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
exactly.
So,
but then we get into the assisted living, yes, daycare, rehab center, doctor's office. I mean,
They just opened.
Just put one
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, no.
Veterinarian clinic. We have
It'd be-
docking bark ordinances. We have.
yeah, I
You're
can see
not
that.
putting.
Bark.
Right.
That would
Yeah,
be
but
very-
what if it were the overnight vet and weekend vet?
Yeah. I can't have my horse up here.
But
I
the
could.
key to any of these is an entrepreneur
Right.
that sees this.
Right.
Correct.
Okay?
And that's kind of why
Right.
the walk-in medical clinic. We just got that. I mean, they're
Right.
bringing some of that up the
That's-
street.
They need to go to
Office space. Dover is full of office space that they cannot fill.
Insurance
in this area.
office.
We just
Just-
got a brand new insurance office.
Telemarketing, call center, billing.
The bottom line is,
Bowling
if the Howard thing doesn't progress, your next logical step is a commercial real estate.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
Get a professional in
It
there,
is.
take the pictures, they'll get it listed.
Right.
And in
So-
fact, most of them will know when they walk it, whether you have a chance.
That's right. Yep.
The only reason I'm encouraged is when I spoke to him, he was so enthusiastic about the structure. I mean, I would walk in and say, oh my God, I would.
I know, I know.
But he was like, no, you can do this, you do this, and I was, okay, well,
Great,
maybe somebody else will
great.
see it that way too.
Right. Right.
But I mean, when you hit 16 through 20, bowling alley, arcade, pool hall, roller rink, pub, restaurant, pizza shop, that all fits in that one spot.
Yeah, all of them.
Love the thought. Personally, I would love to see that happen, but I can already see what's going to happen. If
I
you
would
do.
not be an investor. Let's put it that way.
Exactly.
There you go. You're not, we're going to take this back to
Mini
taxes.
malls, those are all the rage these days.
Yes. I mean, I love the thought process, but long-term benefit of the town is what I'm,
Right.
I just don't see it.
Apartments is actually what we're really thinking about, so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, in Dover, what they've done in that mill.
Yeah.
Right now, we have a lot of Canadian visitors coming down through, and that's where they stay, is in the new complex down.
Yep.
So, I don't know, to me, the ones that I really like on the list is definitely geared around the assisted living, senior living, more so than any.
Well, we don't know that he's got a hole in his calendar, but if he would come, are we in agreement that he would be
Yes,
a good invite? And
absolutely.
I would give them a heads up
No.
that he's gonna be here, so they know,
Okay. Yep.
so, okay.
Yep.
That was we put that under additional agenda items.
Yes.
Anything else for additional agenda items?
No.
Okay. It's a pretty busy night, actually. No executive session? Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
7:10.
Third. Hey, if we do thirds, does that mean we have to vote? Because if you made a motion, she second, I thirds, then that's a vote all at the
Carry.
same time, right?
They get carried.
It's carried.
Well, it's also